We have a brand new troop coming in the next Clash of Clans update, the Mountain Golem. Let's go through all of its mechanics and teach you exactly how to use it. The Mountain Golem is unlocked in Golem Quarry. This is the final district you unlock at Capital Hall level 7. The Mountain Golem goes for any target. It will even go for basic buildings, not just defenses like its home base counterpart, the regular Golem. It does, however, have a huge advantage over it. It basically has 44,000 HP, making it incredibly tanky and the tankiest unit in the entire game. Not only that, it can basically one-shot every building with its 1,200 damage, except for the big defensive buildings. It also has a death damage of 500 per rock. It will basically break open into 5 different rocks that will deal 500 damage. It also has an initial death damage as well that basically will add up a little bit more damage alongside the rocks. It does, however, cost 160 housing space. This means you cannot bring 2, and you cannot bring the flying fortress with it. So you have to choose one or the other. It also has the second slowest movement speed in the entire game at only 4, which is not really great. I found that the Mountain Golem pairs extremely well with a rage spell. Unlike its traditional counterpart, it will work incredibly well with it because it boosts the movement speed and it does a lot of damage. Not only that, but you will be unlocking the rage spell in Dragon's Cliff. This is an incredibly great spell to bring and probably the most useful spell in clan capitals. You're basically just going to be using the Mountain Golem on its own. It really doesn't need much support at all because it can easily hold its own since it has so much HP. Even though it's slow, it will deal a lot of damage, and of course, with rage spells, it just helps it a ton. The Mountain Golem is really good against splash buildings. This is going to include the giant cannon alongside the blast bow and the rocket artillery. Those 3 are going to be incredibly weak to the Mountain Golem. However, unfortunately, the single inferno is still one of the strongest defenses against tanks, and this is no exception. It takes a lot longer because of its HP, but it is very dangerous. So bringing lightning is really good for the Mountain Golem. This is just far more consistent and makes it so much easier for you to keep the Mountain Golem at a good amount of HP to where it can easily still get through a larger part of the base. Not only this, but the Mountain Golem also has a bit of a range. It has at least a 2-tile range, meaning it can actually sometimes hit over the rocks, and it could even also walk over some water tiles, which makes it really impressive to use to clear a given area if it's blocked by a single tile or 2 of water. Next is the Super Dragons. This is unlocked in Dragon's Cliff, which is unlocked at Capital Hall level 6. This super troop is this exact same as it is in the home village, so there isn't anything too different. It will cost 40 housing space here in clan capitals, making it a fairly difficult troop to kind of fit in. However, its mechanics work the same way as it does in home village, but it is a little bit different for clan capitals. You want to take advantage of its roast ability, which basically means you want to make sure that you're using it against units that are fairly close together. The Super Dragons work incredibly well from what I found when defenses and buildings are really close together, making this a very strong troop to bring. The mechanics are the exact same as the home village, so it's very easy to adapt to using them. However, the only difference is that the defenses that are going to be hitting them, there's a lot of air targeting defenses, meaning that the Super Dragons are going to have a bit of a tougher time getting through, especially against air defenses. But even the splash damage buildings that hit both air and ground, such as the blast bow and rocket artillery, deal massive damage and can really whittle the health down of the Super Dragons. While the Super Dragon is only 40 housing space and you can bring more of them, The super dragons, from what I found, are very specific. So you do want to try and only bring 1 or 2 of them, which will give you a better edge. Of course, just be very careful of single target infernos, because they're absolutely going to get roasted. It's similar to Lone Village in terms of how weak they are against them. Additionally, the Hog Glider is a new set of troops. This will only cost 15 housing space, similar to some of the other sets, but alongside that, it only brings in the use of 2 hogs and a Hog Glider. This means that the Hog Riders can jump over walls, they can jump over the river, but they can also have the Hog Glider that basically flies over. The Hog Glider has a good amount of HP, 850, so it means that it will be able to be used to stun lock defenses. So it will allow you to easily pick and choose the high priority defenses to stun, or even as an example, stunning a single target inferno. This could actually free you from using a lightning spell, but of course, to each their own. It's going to be fairly difficult to use these as a mass, because realistically, despite working with heal, they're incredibly weak to splash buildings. Very specifically, rocket artillery and the blast bow. The giant cannon will deal a good amount of damage to them, but the other 2 are going to be heavy threats. Other than that, the Hog Raiders work incredibly well when they are surgically used. So try not to spam them in, try to surgically use them, wait and be very patient, because you will get the most from them. You also unlock the Rage spell from the Rage spell factory. This is the exact same as the Home Village Rage. This is going to increase the damage and speed of your troops. Similarly to what I said, the Mountain Golem gets a really nice buff from the Rage because it only has a movement speed of 4. With that being said, it moves it up past 20, which means it's now at least a little bit faster, which makes it a lot better to use. But of course, the Rage spell is a very versatile spell. You can use it with anything, such as the Flying Fortresses. You can use it with the Mountain Golem. You can even use it with some of the other smaller units to get through other buildings. So you just want to think about those things if you are planning on using the Rage spell. But it is a very universal spell, it's really easy to use, and you can easily fit it into multiple armies. Similar to the healing spell, it will cost 3 housing space. So it is something that you do need to prioritize and keep in mind. Now last but not least, let's go through the 2 new districts. Dragon's Cliff has a lot of rocks, which means that there's a lot of environmental blockade that is going on. This is going to make it really easy for you to easily have everything set up. The other new defense though that you unlock is going to be the Super Dragon Post. So that means that realistically, only a couple units such as the Super Wizards, Sneaky Archers, and even the Super Dragons themselves can attack them. That is really going to force you to really think about how to take on air CC troops without some sort of poison spell. So that is something that you do need to consider. Golem Quarry is a little bit similar to Dragon's Cliff. The only difference is that it's a little bit more open. But of course, you have a couple of the splash buildings, which means the Mountain Golem is going to be incredibly strong here. So you will want to consider in terms of trying to use every part of this base to your advantage so you can get at least a solid defense set and make it way more difficult for your attackers. That is it for this sneak peek. Make sure to subscribe and ring the bell because we have one last final sneak peek remaining. If you haven't checked out either one of my previous sneak peeks, I would highly recommend checking them out right here. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Corrupt, signing out.